Ingeniero industrial de la Universidad Técnica de Braunschweig en Alemania. Ha trabajado por más de 20 años en Munich Re, desempeñándose en diversos roles. Desde el 1 de enero de 2019, Bengt es el jefe del equipo Ciber para Europa y Latinoamérica. Riesgo cibernético, ¿una guerra global? Con ustedes, Bengt Von Toll.
What I would like to do now in the next couple of minutes is to look at cyber from an insurance perspective. And in fact, I will add on to a lot of things that have been discussed beforehand, and you will even see a few figures that relate to what has been said before. So please bear with me if I repeat a few things. What I want to do is give a few informations how we see the world of cyber developing, then go into detail about a few particularities that we see in cyber and how we deal with it. First, a few figures. This slide shows the estimated economic losses stemming from cyber risk back in 2016 and the estimated development over the next couple of years. It's economic losses, not insured losses. Alex has mentioned a figure which tells you that probably 1% of the actual losses these days are insured. So I called this presentation a global threat, but this tells you why I rather say it's a global opportunity. This slide shows an analysis done with big companies where they were asked what they see as the biggest risk they face. And you can see that in 2018, cyber risks were named the second most important risk. And there's other categories in here, like new technologies or legislation that appear. They can also be related, of course, to cyber risk. Again, this for us is a clear sign it is an important risk for our customers, for our insureds, so we have to deal with it. These are a few figures about the estimation of the insurance market. The insurance market on a global base at the moment produces round about 5 to 6 billion in premium, we estimate. And this will grow to probably 8 to 9 billion by the end of 2020. It is a significant line of business in insurance already. Yet the insurance penetration is low, so there is big potential, which you can see here on the slide. Munich Re's market share we estimated to be at 10%, so at the moment we are writing around about 450 million in premium. And if you consider that we estimate the market to grow to 9 billion in 1.5 years, you can do the math yourself how much we have to grow in order to maintain the 10% market share. So this is figures. Now I want to touch upon a little bit on particularities in cyber. What is so special about cyber? There is a few aspects. One, of course, is the global reach, which means that losses, they are not restricted to individual regions. And the next slide, I hope it works, shows you how the WannaCry ransomware spread over the world in just 2 days. And that clearly tells us it is a global phenomenon. It started somewhere in the Ukraine, and then all of a sudden it kicked off more or less all over the world. And so the losses, they are not limited anymore to regions, they are global. And you will see a few names of companies here that have been hit, and there is big ones in there, but I guess you can imagine, you will know that it was not only the big numbers and big tickets that have been hit, but also small enterprises. So the losses have a global spread. And so does the origin of losses, so the attacks. Next slide, I hope again it works. This shows, that's a web page that everyone can access, and it shows on an interactive, real-time basis where attacks happen from where to where. And again, it tells you people who do attacks, who do cause attacks, they can sit everywhere in the world and can hit, if they want to, all targets in the world, if they're only clever enough. But you see it's happening, attacks from all over the globe, ending up all over the globe. So we have a wide global spread of losses, we have a global threat of attacks, and we have a different new phenomenon, and that is that we are mainly dealing with human behavior. The origin of most of the losses lies in the behavior of people, and we have heard about it in the first speech today, first presentation. There's various reasons why people do it. Some do it for fun, some do it for money, some do it for political reasons, and various others, as you can see here. But they have a few things in common, my perception. One is it's their determination. They know exactly what they want to do, and they know exactly how to do it. Secondly, it is their knowledge. Sometimes it doesn't take too much knowledge, at least it appeared to me this morning, but they do have the knowledge to attack on a global base. And the third one is they're very clever in adapting to new technologies. So the risk is changing on a daily basis, and if we improve our security, they will improve their attack mechanisms. So now we have talked a lot about the threats, and let me come to a point now where I think this is the core of the insurance, and that's accumulation. So I think if we want to approach the strategic risk of finding insurance solutions, we need to find solutions for a good risk management and accumulation management. Accumulation stems basically from the fact that in cyber we share a lot of vulnerabilities from software, as we've seen before, but which is used on a very similar basis on a global in a global reach. The same applies to hardware. Even, well, processors could be infected, what have you, and it's more or less the same technologies used everywhere in the world. But it also is because we all use the same services, cloud services. I'm not sure how many providers there is in the world, but there is a few very big ones, which I guess everyone in this room will, to a certain extent, use. And the biggest accumulation exposure from our perspective stems from the failure of critical infrastructure, which is telecommunications and energy. So, since this is the core or the main driver of the risk, we have built up accumulation models ourselves in order to allow us to control our accumulations that we assume via reinsurance mainly, which in turn enables insurance companies to control their accumulations. And in fact, we have defined 4 scenarios, as you can see here: virus and malware, data breach, IT service provider outage, and the infrastructure failure. And we deem 3 of these accumulation scenarios insurable. And for these scenarios, we have developed PML-based accumulation models in order to be able to steer our clients and our own accumulations against a predefined risk appetite. The infrastructure failure, from our perspective, is not insurable because it just carries too high an accumulation potential for all of us. But accumulation also stems from something we do for years now, and that has been discussed beforehand too. It's the silent cyber exposure. We all should be aware that to a large extent we carry cyber exposures in the business we write today. That stems from unclear wordings. Sometimes we have unclear exclusions. We don't have any exclusions. We have unclear definitions. So we might end up having huge cyber exposures under our traditional policies, where from a risk management perspective, we are probably not aware of the exposures, and where we certainly do not receive the money we should in order to be able to deal with the business. So I show this to ask everyone, have a close look, and Alex said it before, have a close look at whatever you do in business. Make sure you have a clear language in your policy wordings as to what you want to cover and what you do not want to cover, and make sure you control this against your risk appetite. But cyber is very special for another reason too, and this picture is deemed to show why. We think that cyber is much more than just providing insurance coverage in terms of paying money to indemnify for losses that happened. Cyber has a lot to do with services that you provide alongside the insurance policy. And I split it here in 2 categories mainly, which is the pre-incident services, everything that has to do with avoiding losses, with creating awareness, with preparing your customers, your insureds, to deal with cyber. And it has to do with post-incident services, everything you need to do when the losses happen. And I can not emphasize enough how important this is. We had just recently had the chance to talk to a company, a mid-sized company from Germany, who had been hacked. This was a company who are active in providing digital services, web-based services to other companies. And they had considered themselves as being IT experts. They had been hacked and they had been out of business for quite some time, and actually for the first 24 hours they had no clue what was happening to them. And I spoke to the guy and he said he was shocked. He considered himself an IT expert and he had no clue what happened. Then he was lucky. He had an insurance policy that provided services. The insurance company sent an emergency risk team. And from his explanations, it seemed a little bit like the men in black entering his company. They locked all employees in one room, confiscated all IT material, saying that probably the reason for the attack is one of the employees. That was the second shock for this guy, saying that not only do I not know what's happening, I am the IT expert, but this emergency risk team accuses me of probably being the origin. So 2 conclusions. One is basically it was a former employee who caused all the trouble. And secondly, the guy said without the services, without this incident response team, they wouldn't have survived. So you can see the services play an immense role. And that's why maybe it fits to what David related to before as the democratization. I think we need to partner with a lot of companies who have expertise in various fields, and they are named here. It's IT security, it's IT forensics, it's legal expertise. Can be psychological expertise, it can be communication, PR expertise, what have you. And we are investing a lot in building up these, we call it ecosystems, in order to have platforms that allow us to control the cyber risk together with our clients. In addition to that, of course, we do provide very insurance-related services, and that's the center of this, this slide. We are here to develop together with our clients policy wordings, tariffs if you need, claim services, accumulation management, and we even support in building up sales structures. Why that? I think the biggest challenge at the moment for all of us is the lack of awareness of the cyber risk. We all struggle, all insurance companies struggle to sell cyber policies because the insureds, they believe they are not targeted. The products, they cover topics that are not so familiar to us as insurance experts, and sometimes the policy language is rather new. And of course, we're all afraid because it's still a rather new risk. But that's what we have to work on as an insurance company in order to be able to deal with cyber insurances and cyber risk. Thank you very much. And it's a global opportunity, not a global threat. Thank you very much.